Hi everyone, just to say that I've re-recorded sections of the live webinar due to the issue we had whereby the secondary windows were not visible. All should be good for you to view now.
Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Lunchtime Bites webinar from the ICBE Aviation SkillNet. Today our presenter is Sinead Collins from eBridge. Sinead is the lead trainer at eBridge Training Limited. Sinead has many years experience in delivering training across Ireland and across the UK, across industry and professions. Specialising in Microsoft applications including MS Outlook, MS Excel, MS Word, PowerPoint and MS Visio, Sinead also delivers soft skills training. Sinead is a BA in Multimedia from the Cork Institute of Technology and is a Microsoft Master Specialist and Microsoft Master Instructor. Today's topic area is making Outlook work for you. This course is normally delivered over 3 1.5-hour webinars or a full day classroom-based session. But today we are condensing some of the key points into 45 minutes. Sinead will take you through some of the key points that will help you to start taking control of your email and workload rather than them controlling you. The ground rules for today: Sinead will present for approximately 35 to 45 minutes with some polls and live demos and finishing up with a question and answer session. Everyone is muted, but we really do encourage you to input or to submit any questions or comments via the chat function. If you hover over your screen, you should see that appear on the top or the bottom. And without further ado, I'll hand you over to Sinead.
Thanks, Owen, and welcome everyone today to Make Outlook Work for You, Lunchtime Bites. And thanks, Owen, for that. So Owen explained it pretty well what I'm going to go through, so I'm just going to begin. I often would ask participants if anyone has attended a time management course previously. And then those of you who have, I'd ask if you're still sort of putting that into theory, because sadly, the vast majority of those who say they've attended a course are not still putting that theory into practice. The reason this is unless you have a practical way of applying that theory and putting it into practice on a daily basis, you're unlikely to do so. So that's why Outlook just makes everything so easy. It's the perfect tool to be able to use to do this. So the difference between this course and a standard time management course is that it's practical hands-on, and you're going to be using the tool for the day that you attend or the 3 webinars that you attend, which means when you leave, you're already putting everything into practice. So it's a tool that you use every day, and after the course, you'd simply just be using it more efficiently. So as Owen said, this is just 40 minutes. So our standard course is 3 1.5-hour webinars, but I'm going to focus on the key functionality today so that everyone should be in a position after this to put the process into action following the webinar. So in order to make Outlook work more effectively as a time management tool, it's necessary to change some default settings. So you have to customize your Outlook to make it work as a time management tool. So as it comes out of the box or as you install it, it doesn't work very well as a time management tool, and it doesn't allow you to work very efficiently. But the customization really does enable that. So the process in its own right takes about 10 minutes. So rather than covering that, I already have that done on my laptop. It's how I work anyway, but I have it done in advance of today's training. But I've recorded a little tutorial for you, which will be sent to you after this, so you can do the customization in your own time and continue to work through all the things that I'll show you today once you've that completed. So we're going to have a look at how you can stay in control. So I'm going to show you how to use some shortcuts.
Sinead, just out of interest, we got lots of yeses to people who've attended time management classes and a mixed response in terms of those who've implemented it. So it reflects what you were saying.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Owen. Thank you for that. So yeah, it really is, we're all, even myself and Owen were discussing it kind of before. I'm not sure how many people were on the call. It really is about you putting it into practice. However, this just makes it so much easier because you're familiar with the tool already. So guys, we're going to look at creating, editing, and redating tasks, completing tasks. Also going to look at a logical folder structure within your email and how to defer tasks. So how to defer things you need to do. So create tasks directly from email or create tasks from the top of your head. So, you know, there's lots that I need to cover with you. Again, it's just a little taster of what you would receive on the day or over the 3 webinars. So regardless of who you are, or what your age or your profession might be, it is difficult to be productive on a continuous basis. I think we're all pretty guilty of procrastinating at times. So the issue could be email overload, constant interruptions. It can be, you know, meetings that drag on and stuff like that. So there's lots of things that kind of hinder us when we need to be productive. So the single biggest obstacle that people face is that there isn't one central location of storing everything that you need to do. So again, things that you take away from meetings, things that you've scribbled down on a piece of paper, and so on. So a lot of work will arrive in via email. Now this can result in a very large inbox. And in addition to that, work will also arrive from other sources, as I said. Now it could even pop up from a conversation with someone or a phone call. So if you're someone who writes things into a little notebook, also has their emails, you just don't have any way of prioritizing your work or combining everything together into something that you can prioritize. So unless you bring them together, you'll be unable to prioritize your work effectively. So what this course offers is that single central location and a little bit more as well. So the aim is that you have an empty inbox at the end of each day. One central location to store all tasks. So this will be both email and non-email related tasks. And then a way to prioritize your work effectively. And it really is as simple as those 3 things. And when you see my inbox in a little while, it is actually my working inbox. And I have 0 emails multiple times throughout the day. And I stay on top of it, and it works really, really well. Okay, so you're currently already trying to deal with your work. Okay, so we have the work, we have the workload. You're also using the tool that I'm going to talk to you about today, which is Microsoft Outlook, which is really, really handy. Hopefully all of you are using that. And then the all-important element is the process. So the way in which you use Outlook will be quite different after today or after the course. So this change will allow you to achieve the results you were trying to achieve, which is a more productive working day. And a way to keep all workload organized and prioritized, which of course will equal the results that I was speaking about, which is your empty inbox and so on, okay? Now, what is that process? So this process is called the 4 Ds, and it allows you to touch your work once. So we're going to try touch our work once and once only. You don't want to be reading over emails multiple times, scanning your to-do list multiple times, and so on. So one key element of the time management best practices that we cover on the full course is the concept of the 4 Ds. The 4 Ds are, you're going to do it, delegate it, drop it, and defer it. If we apply the 4 Ds to email, you're likely doing most of these already. So when you receive an email, you might do it. You may delegate it to someone. You may drop it, or what drop means is you may drop it into a folder or simply delete it completely. What people have the most difficulty doing is deferring. Okay, so the biggest challenge is, you know, defer. How do you defer an email effectively? Some people will mark messages as unread to remind them to go back to them later, and some will flag messages for follow-up. I'm now just going to hand you over to Owen for a little poll. And if you are currently using one of those methods to remind you to revisit an email, if you could just vote yes, and if you're not, if you could just vote no.
Great, so that's the results are just coming in, Sinead.
Thanks, Owen.
So mainly yes, but I'll share the result in just 3 more seconds.
Thank you. Okay, so a lot of people are flagging or marking emails as unread to follow up or to remind you to revisit them. So thanks for voting, guys, that's great. So I'll just thank you. Okay, so in the absence of any other available option, marking messages as unread or flagged, you know, it's better than nothing, because we just don't want all our emails to be jumbled up and make no sense. So the chances are that over time, this is going to become less and less useful, as unfortunately, we end up marking a lot of things as unread and marking a lot of things as flagged, and you end up with an inbox full of either unread or flagged messages. Now, this, of course, isn't everyone. It's just what we find to be true for the majority. So you still have no way of prioritizing one message over another. You simply have a lot of messages that you need to revisit. The key point in all that is that I'll be demonstrating is how to defer email effectively through using tasks. So guys, that's just the end of the theory and the, I suppose what I'm going to go through. It's now time for me to take you to Outlook. So I'm just going to share my Outlook with you guys, and you'll see, hopefully, very neat inbox. Okay, so what I did ahead of this webinar is I just popped in some emails so that it was set up for you guys to see, you know, me dealing with them and prioritizing them and working with them effectively. What I also did ahead of this webinar is I did the customization that I spoke about a little while ago, which took about 10 minutes. So the customization process, as I said, will be sent to you after the webinar, and you'll be able to customize your Outlook to look exactly like mine. Now, what does the customization do? The thing is unless you use Outlook, you know, for tasks and things like that, you may not really see the customization working for you until you start to put these items into practice that I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to just highlight little changes that I made. Now, the first thing is that we've turned off notifications. So I no longer receive any notification that I've received an email. So I'm no longer interrupted by my email. I'm in control of my workload. I'm in control of when I check my emails. And you can then focus on work and check your emails. You can do more work, check your emails. Now, obviously, everyone will have a different time frame in which they go and check. You could check every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every hour. It really depends on your workload and I suppose, you know, how often you need to check your emails. But it puts you in control rather than constantly reacting or being distracted by emails that pop up on your desktop. So that's the first thing that we do. We put you guys in control. The other main part of the customization is changing the view of the mail to make it less busy. Now, maybe you're thinking of your own inbox and you're looking at mine and thinking it looks quite different. It doesn't just look different because I have very few emails in here. It looks different because I've turned off quite a few things. For example, I've turned off my reading pane, so I can't click on an email and see what it's saying over on the right-hand side. I've turned off my to-do bar as well. So if you're someone who has a to-do bar turned on, that's also gone. And my preview, so some of you will be working with a preview, it automatically is turned on with the newer versions of Outlook anyway, but I have my preview completely off. And again, my reading pane is off as well. So it just looks less busy and it's easier to work with. Okay, so the next thing is I've also changed my tasks. Now down the bottom here, you'll see my little icons. I'm just going to go to tasks. And what I have here is I have a really nice view set up where I've customized it to show only what I need and not the things I don't need. For example, I've grouped things together so you'll see tasks that are active versus tasks that are complete. Okay, so we'll look at this in a moment. So the same with the calendar. I've set up my calendar to work for me in the best view, and my favorite view is work week, but you may work with day or week if you work weekends. And on the right-hand side, I've set up my to-do bar so that my tasks that I'm going to be inputting, so you'll see me input those in just a moment, the tasks that I'm going to be inputting will also show here, and I can look at my day and see what meetings I have, what things I have to do, and work my day around everything. What we also have done is set it up so when you open Outlook, it opens directly into this view. So that again, you can see what you have to do and you're in control of going checking your mail. You don't log in the morning and go to your mail automatically. You check your calendar, check your tasks, and then when you want to or when you feel you need to, you go and check your email. Just putting you back in control. So I'm just going to start with some practical stuff now. Down the bottom left-hand side, you'll see some icons. Now, I always work with them as words and not icons. I didn't do this as part of the customization because I just want to show you very briefly how to do it. When I click on these three dots at the end of my icons, I'll click navigation options. I'll untick compact navigation and click OK. And you'll see I now have words instead of those icons, which makes it a little bit easier to work with. And it's very, very clear what area I'm in. Something that really helps with Outlook as well and makes us more effective and efficient is using shortcuts to navigate around. You'll also receive a copy of the shortcuts following the webinar along with the customization tutorial. So the shortcuts are Control 1 will take you to your mail. We're already in it. Control 2 will take you to your calendar. Control 3 takes you to people. Control 4 takes you to tasks. Back to Control 1. From here, if I want to create a new email, I simply use Control N to create the email. I'll press Escape, which closes the email. I wasn't asked if I wanted to save the email because I didn't actually type anything in for it to save. So because it was a blank email, as soon as I pressed Escape, it closed out of it and I'm not asked if I want to save it as a draft. I'll show you in a moment what would happen if you had typed something. Control 2 takes me to my calendar and Control N is a new appointment. So not a new meeting, just a new appointment. Escape. Control 3 is your people and Control N is a new contact. So basically what I'm showing you is if I press Escape, once you go to a different area, for example, Control 4 and Control N creates a new of whatever folder you're in. So a new email if you're in mail, a new appointment if you're in calendar, a new contact if you're in people, and a new task if you're in tasks. And Escape, Control 1. Within here, I'm going to just create a new email again using Control N. Now, if you find that your window looks something like this, so if your window is in Restore View, which means it's smaller than full screen, I'll ask that you work with your window always in full screen. So it's this icon here to make it full screen. Why we say to do that is, one, you have access now to all the commands, none of them are hidden, but also you're not distracted by emails coming in the background. So you're focusing on one thing at a time, which is so important when you want to be efficient or effective. Now within the email itself, I'm simply going to type the word test. If I press Escape this time, it asks me, do I want to save my changes? I could simply click yes or no, or because Y is underlined for yes and N is underlined for no, I can simply hit Y or N to close the email. So I chose N to not save it as a draft. The next thing that I want to go through with you guys is how to navigate through your emails. So if I just open this email here, now it will mark them all as read, but I'll open this email here. So guys, when you have an email open, across the top of your screen, you have what's called a quick access toolbar. So it's at the top of everyone's screen. You have an up arrow and a down arrow, which will actually take you through your messages. So instead of going in and out and reading them all individually, you can actually go through them using these arrows up the top left corner. This is called your quick access toolbar. We talk about customizing this on the full day course or the 3 webinars. So you can also use the control key and your greater than or less than symbol on your keyboard to get through your messages as well. However, the greater than and less than symbol are basically the comma and the full stop. So if you can't find them, they share a key with the comma and full stop. The next shortcut that I'm going to show you guys is just how to reply and forward, but very quickly. I can use the shortcut Control or to reply, escape, Control F to forward, escape. I can also do that from within an email. So if I open an email, Control F to forward, escape, Control or to reply. So those shortcuts work from within an email or from just the inbox here. Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to Owen again for a poll. So we're going to just launch our second poll, if that's okay. I just want to gauge how many of you are using tasks within Outlook.
Just the last few votes coming in. It's primarily no, about 80-20. Probably no surprise.
Wow, yes, no surprise. Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for answering that so quickly. So guys, the results of the poll is that most of you do not, and it usually is quite low because when people try to use tasks, they soon give up as they can be frustrating to work with. Like, frustrating would be a little bit of an understatement. So even those of you who persevere to use tasks, maybe you might find them a little bit annoying. Maybe you wish you could get them to work a little bit differently and a little bit better for you. Tasks are difficult to work with. Unless the customization process is followed, then tasks are frustrating. And completed tasks also sit amongst the active tasks. So it's really hard to see everything that you're trying to do. So I'm going to go and jump to the tasks now using Control 4, and we're going to create some tasks. So in the tasks folder, I'm going to create a task. We all know I can use Control N. That's something I've done already. I can also click New Task. So you can double click to add a task, click New Task, or use Control N. I'm going to simply type phone Bob. Now, notice how I didn't need to actually click into the subject to type. It already was just in that box. When I typed, it just picked up the subject. As the start date, I'm going to click on the calendar here, and I'm actually going to complete this today. I can also select a due date. However, the due date will always be the same as the start date. So we leave those the same. We talk about that a little bit more, of course, on across the 3 webinars, but we leave the due date the same. The status we don't work with at all. It's not needed in tasks really. And then priority, you can set this as a low priority, normal, or high. We'd recommend leaving it as normal unless you have to change it to high. It's very, very high priority, okay? So we're going to leave it as normal. High priority would be really classed as something that, you know, has to get done before you can complete something else, or, you know, we really don't want to mark everything as high priority because, again, we end up with a list that doesn't have any real functionality. So I'm going to click Save and Close. When I click Save and Close, you should be able to see Phone Bob and the date that it's starting on. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to do is I'm going to click New Task. Now, so in the subject here, I'm going to type Order Printer Toner. So again, I didn't have to click. I'm just typing Order Printer Toner. I'm using the calendar to choose the date for tomorrow. Save and close. So the customization is organizing it into date order. Prior to this, it wouldn't necessarily have organized it very well. Now, if you find that it is a little bit small, for example, if the subject is a bit too small or a bit too big and you want to resize any of these columns, be careful, because if you actually click on subject or start date or something like that, you're going to reorder all of these and it messes up the customization. So just be very careful with that. If you do decide to resize, don't click on any of these to change the sort, because that's all done with the customization. I'm going to create another new task. What I have next is I want to say check on status of delivery. So check on status of delivery. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the start date to tomorrow. So I have 2 things now I need to do tomorrow, but this is high priority because I have to check on that delivery. So the priority has to change to high, and then I'll choose Save and Close. So now you'll see that I have a little exclamation mark next to check on status of the delivery, and it's tomorrow. It is above the Order Printer Toner because it's of high priority, and the customization sets it up. The priority, high priority comes before a normal priority, even though they're on the same date. So that's how it organizes your task list. Next thing I'm going to do is customize MS Outlook on my PC. Now, the thing about the customization is it only works on the computer you customize. So if you have multiple laptops, or you have a PC back in the office, or another laptop in the office, whatever way it works for you, you would have to customize the other laptop or computer. So the customization works on a computer by computer basis, not an account basis. So when you maybe go back into the office, or maybe when you go to your other computer, you would have to do the customization on that as well. So we're going to use Customize MS Outlook on my PC, and maybe I'll just say that I'll do that next Tuesday, and save and close. Okay, the last one I'm just going to make now is I'm going to create a new task, and I need to pay outstanding invoices. Okay. Now I actually have to do that tomorrow as well. And this is also high priority. I'm going to save and close. You'll see it pops in to the date, so the 30th. If I didn't have the customization done, it wouldn't necessarily pop in date order. It would pop in the date you, or the order you typed it in, okay? So the customization is really doing quite a lot here. It's also giving us visibility on the priority, but you'll notice check on delivery status comes before pay outstanding invoices, because it is customized to show the priority first, but then put it in alphabetical order, okay? So that's how you very easily create tasks, and the customization will allow it to work for you. There's a lot more to do with tasks, so I'm going to pop over to my control 2, which is my calendar. On the right-hand side, you'll see my to-do list, so all the things I have to do, and in the middle, you'll see all of my meetings. So on the right-hand side, we have a slightly different view thanks to the customization. You can see everything I have to do today, tomorrow, the 5th of May, and as this will build for you guys, you'll see it continuously grow. If I right-click one of my dates, I could collapse all groups. And then you could just expand the ones you need to see. So what I normally do is I focus on today and tomorrow. I leave everything else collapsed, and then I can expand them as the day comes along. So I see sort of 2 days at a time, so I'm not overwhelmed by a lot of information or a lot of our massive to-do list. Okay, so then the next thing is, what if you need to redate something? So I actually need to check on that delivery status today. You don't have to double click into the task to change it. You can simply click here on the date. It'll give you a little calendar, and you can just change the date, same as if you double click on the calendar, and I'll change it to today's date. I'll say save and close, and it just moves it up to today's date. So that's how you redate a task. Another reason you might need to redate a task is, what if you leave it become overdue? So I've set this to yesterday's date, and I can now see when I open this out, Phone Bob has become red. So it's really important to know that your overdue tasks don't disappear, okay? They do not disappear. They do turn red, but the idea is not to have lots of red tasks in here. It's really, really important that you've control over your workload and you don't allow a lot of red tasks. So if you come in the morning and you see a red task, by all means, phone Bob and get rid of the task. If not, you can defer it by putting it to a date when you can phone him. I'm going to simply complete it. So you set up the customization so you can complete tasks directly from the calendar and the tasks area. It's this little checkbox here that I'm hovering over, and when I click on it, there, and it's gone, okay? It hasn't disappeared, but we have set up a filter that only allows active tasks to sit here, because it's such a small area. We don't want to see any completed tasks or things that you've already done. We only want to see tasks you've yet to do. Okay, so this helps us be more efficient or effective. We feel on top of our workload. You know, we collapse or expand different days so that we don't feel overwhelmed with a lot of tasks. So overdue tasks, you just tick them if they're done, or you redate them for another date. You complete them and they don't vanish, they just leave the calendar area. But where do they go? Control 4. I'm now in the tasks area, and you'll see my completed tasks sit in the completed area, okay? So we did a customization, again, through the customization, we said to group active tasks and inactive tasks, so complete versus incomplete. So this is everything I have to do, and this is everything I've done. If I accidentally marked it as complete, I could simply untick the Phone Bob tick box, and he sits up here, or I can tick it again, and he moves down to the completed area. I can then collapse or expand the completed tasks. So we run through that in a lot more detail. We also talk about creating completed task folders on the full webinars. Okay, I'm going to now move to control 1, which is my mail. And I'm going to get to, I suppose, for most of you, or for a lot of you, hopefully, the most interesting part of this session. And that is creating tasks from email. And we're going to use the 4 Ds. So before I move on to the 4 Ds, I'm just going to create a folder. I'm going to right-click my inbox and choose New Folder. I will call that Customers. I'll then right-click Customers, and I'll say New Folder again. And I'll do ABC Limited. So I've now created a folder structure where I have customers, and within customers, I'm going to have all of my customers. Right-click Customers, New Folder, XYZ Limited. So if you right-click a folder, you get subfolders. If you right-click the inbox, you just get a normal folder. Okay, so that's how you create a folder structure. We go through that in greater detail, again, in the 3 webinars. So I'm going to use a few examples or a few emails that I've been sent. So the first email that I've been sent here is just webinar details. My approach to this would be to use the 4 Ds. So the 4 Ds, again, are do it, delegate it, drop it, defer it. So I can do this, I can delegate it to someone else. So delegating will be us forwarding it to somebody to do the work for us. Dropping it will involve putting it into one of our folders we've created or deleting it entirely. And deferring is what we're working on, because that's what people find most difficult when it comes to managing their workload. So I'll open this email. Hi Sinead, thanks for that. Escape. I'm going to reply, no problem. I'm going to send it, and I'm going to absolutely delete this email because it has no information that I need to keep whatsoever. The next email is from Marianne, and it's for something that I need to print. So can you please print the attached and keep for reference purposes? So I'm simply going to do this again. So I was able to do the last email, and I'm able to do this. I will simply just click on the drop down and choose print. Okay, so I've printed it, and I'm going to come out of the email, and I'm going to drop it into a folder because she's asked me to keep this for future reference. So I'll put this in one of my folders, maybe ABC Limited, because that's who Marianne works for. Okay, so you can file things away in a way that makes sense for you, but I've now dropped that. So I did the first one, I actually did the second one and dropped it as well. The next thing that I need to do, maybe, is open CEO's visit. So, hi Sinead, can you please contact John on Friday to remind him of the CEO's visit this coming Monday? His number is, but please let me know by reply when this has been done. I'm pressing escape to come out of the email. I now need to defer this in a way that's going to work for me. I'm going to hold down my right click. So we don't just right click the email, we actually hold down the right mouse click and drag it down over tasks and let go. When I let go, I'm given a number of options. The second option is copy here as task with attachment. When I click that, it creates a task and it pulls in the subject line of the email, which is CEO's visit. So I'm going to say, call John, RE, CEO's visit, so that I know what it's about. So I don't need to open the task to see what it's about. I know exactly what it's about. I was asked to do it on Friday. So I click on my calendar, I choose Friday, and the best part is this email now sits within the task. So if I double click, I have the email which I can reply directly to Marianne to tell her it's done, all within the task. So there's no need to scribble it down on a piece of paper or search for the email or anything like that. It's now, the email is now saved within the task in the tasks area and also in the calendar as well. I'm going to delete that email because I don't need to store it for future reference at all. I'm going to open bank details. Hi Sinead, can you please ensure to send me your bank details before the end of the week? Many thanks. Now, this I'm also going to defer, but as people don't, they just find it a little bit tricky, okay? Right-clicking and dragging it down. We're going to use what's called a quick step. And we go over these as well in greater detail on the full course. A quick step allows you to complete an action a step quicker than you could in any other way. So if I click on the More button, this is the More icon here. If I click on it, I can go to New Quick Step. There's lots of different things you can do. We're going directly to Custom, and then we're going to choose Create Task. Now I can make it a short name or a long name, and I'm going to say Create Task with Attachment. The action, as you can see here, there's many actions. You can move things to folders, delete messages, mark as certain importance, mark as complete. Lots of things you can do with quick steps. Again, we go through them in fuller detail. I'm just going to choose Create a Task with Attachment and click Finish. Now, instead of right-clicking and dragging the bank details email over tasks, I'm going to simply click Create Task with Attachment, and it does it in one swoop, one action. I'm going to have a start date of tomorrow. I'm going to say that's quite high priority because that needs to get sent over, and I'll save and close. Delete the email because it's saved in my task. Okay, so I'll just fly through the next couple because it's just important that you understand the 4Ds. So, hi Sinead, can you please send me on the Excel webinar course outline? I'm out of the office for the remainder of this week, so if you could send them on to me next Monday morning, that would be great. So what a lot of people might do is flag that email, mark it in red, scribble it in a diary. And again, what we're gonna do from the open email, so Quick Step also works from within the open email, is you can choose Create Task with Attachment. I'm going to do it Monday because that's when I was asked to do it. So I'll change this to maybe Send Course Outlines, save and close, and delete the email. Or drop it into a folder. Okay, so the next thing is next week's meeting. I've already done that, so I'll press delete, or it's not something that I really need to do. And the final one I'm going to work with is shortcut keys. I've attached the shortcut keys as promised. Please print. And all I need to do with that is from within the email, hit print, and I've done my 4Ds, one of my 4Ds, which is to do it. So that's how I end up with an empty inbox. Now, of course, I flew through that. I knew exactly what the emails were going to say. But that is how the 4Ds can work for you. But you do have to stick with it for a day or two to get into the habit of it. And then you just do, delegate, drop, defer. So just a tiny little run through before I finish up. Basically now, your tasks are in your calendar. I'm going to open them all up so you can see them, as we don't have very many. Your tasks are also in your tasks area. And hopefully you're seeing that there's a little paper clip next to some of the tasks. They are your tasks that have attachments. So they're the ones from your email, or maybe you attached another file. You have exclamation marks next to the ones that are high priority, which are included in your customization for being able to prioritize the work. And if I double click on any task that I need to do, you'll see the email attached within there that I can open straight away. I don't need to go look for my emails within any folders. So in conclusion, we've taken a look at the customization. So just a little brief outline of what it does. We've looked at creating, editing, and redating tasks for non-email related work, but also looked at applying the 4Ds, particularly the defer it, to end up with an empty inbox. Yes, you still have the same workload, but it's all, in priority order, in date order, in your list of tasks, either on your calendar or within tasks. So I hope the information and functionality that I've presented today will be useful to everyone. I really think once you do the customization and get into this a little bit, maybe even watch this again, you'll see how beneficial it really can be to managing your workload and working efficiently. So on the full course, I'll just finish up with this. We would go through the time management principles. So we go through them in more detail, so how to practically apply this using MS Outlook as well. Look at how work can be grouped, so storing multiple related emails together to improve efficiency. we would work with tasks in a lot more detail. So things like things you need to follow up on, delegating, managing bigger tasks, tasks that will span a bigger time frame, and also recurring tasks. We'd work with collaborating with others. So we barely touched on the calendar today, of course, because it's quite a big area. So we'd look at, sharing calendars, working with your calendar and opening people's calendars who've shared their calendar with you. Working with contacts and contact groups, which used to be known as distribution lists. Creating rules and alerts. So filtering out emails that come into your inbox. So before they hit your inbox, filtering them into different folders, so everything is easier to work with. And also a lot more shortcuts and a lot more little things in between. So we will be sending you a copy of the shortcut list, and also, the tutorial on how to do the customization. But following the full course, you'd receive the full range of support guides, including user reference guide, customization summary, main learning points, a copy of the presentation, and so on. So you get full support from that afterwards. So guys, thank you for your attention and for taking your lunchtime today to come along and listen to me or watch me show you a few bits. Because I've re-recorded sections of the webinar, I've also decided to redo the questions and answers element. I looked into one or two of the questions asked in a bit more detail, and so have found some solutions. So one question I was asked is this customization suitable for the web version of Outlook also? This really is a client-based course, and tasks are unavailable in the online version, and there really are too many differences. So it wouldn't be suitable for the online version. Another question I was asked is, can you rename the subject of an email? Now, you can rename the subject of an email. If I double click on this email and then double click where it says please print to select all of the text, I can just call it printing. When I come out of the email, I can choose yes to save the changes, and that'll save the changed subject line. So exporting your tasks is also something I was asked about. You can print your tasks or save them to PDF, or to export, it's File, Open and Export, Import, Export, Export to a file, and you'll just choose a comma separated values and Next, and that'll export your tasks for you. To elaborate on another question that I got about when an email is deleted and the task is deleted, do you lose the email completely? So if you delete your task, do you lose the email? If you feel like you're going to be deleting tasks, if you haven't saved a copy of the email, you will lose the email as well. So if there is a chance you will need the email going forward, make sure you put it into a folder for future retrieval. Searching within the inbox or your mail is so much easier than trying to find a completed task in your tasks area. So when you're working with tasks, it wouldn't be my practice to delete any tasks. I'd recommend not deleting your tasks. However, I also don't usually need to go back and look at my completed tasks. So even though you can search in your tasks, it's not as easy to search through as your mail. So if you feel you will need the email going forward, please just put it into a folder if there is any doubt. So you'll put it into one of your folders, and then you won't have to worry about when you delete your tasks if you lose the email. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much. I'll hand you back over to Owen.
Thank you very much, Sinead. Loads of questions. So if possible, shortish, as short an answer as you can for some of them so we can get through them. But it's good news that the tutorial for the customization will be shared, because some people missed that particular part of the webinar. What's the difference between start and due date?
Okay, start date is when you are going to start the task. Due date is when it needs to be done by. However, unfortunately, as we're all human, if we put something in as when it is due, we often don't start it in time for it to be completed for when we're due. So if we say a due date, we kind of come upon the task on the day it's due, and that's not good enough. We really need to put in a day that we're going to start it, and then it's just done ahead of it being due. Again, that's all covered in the sort of theory part of the full course.
Right, so I suppose being realistic about when you're going to start it rather than have everything starting today.
Yes.
Can you set up recurring tasks, like a weekly reminder?
Yes, so that again, we will be doing recurring tasks and recurring meetings as part of the full.
A very honest, and I fall into the same category as well, which is I made a poor job of tasks already. How do I delete everything and start again?
So that is one of the best parts of the course that we do. But do you know what? I would say do the customization first. You'll find that it kind of filters out a lot anyway. And then I would literally use the shortcut Control A to select all and press delete. So customization first, then that.
Great. I have a lot of folders, so many that it can be hard to find a particular folder. Is there a way to search for folder name?
There's not, sadly, there is not. It's something I'm asked all the time. So you can't search for the name. You know, again, we go through a little bit of structuring. One little tip is numbers come before letters. So if you find you're using something very frequently, maybe put a number before it. You'll see, oh, well, I'm not sharing my screen actually, but oh, I am. So you'll see 1 dot, old inbox. In mine now, I've deleted this folder since, but the number 1 before a folder will always precede letters. So 1 will come before A and so on. So you could just reorganize them a little bit.
Can you sort to-do lists by project or category?
Yes, which we cover also in the webinar. Very, very, very cool thing to do.
Okay. I'm sorry about this rapid fire question. Can you put a time limit on folders as some are deleted automatically after 6 months?
That's something you need to contact your IT team to sort. It's not something you generally something you can do.
Can you run a filter / action of folders to remove duplicate emails and or unneeded emails in a conversation? Like retain the last email only?
It can be done, but not easily. It wouldn't be something that we actually demonstrate. It's something that for a specific person, of course, we can, you know, send information on, but it's not something that, you know, it's normally something a bit more, it needs to normally be kind of coded in, or, you know, it's not something that's very easy to do.
Great. Can you add the task view into the calendar? I assume that means having the calendar and the task.
Yeah, I have it here in the calendar done already.
Oh, great. Okay. Is there an easy way to search for a particular email that you've dropped into one of many folders?
Yes. So searching, we won't go through now. It takes quite a while to be familiar with, but searching, and on the course, we spend a lot of time searching and searching within folders using different criteria in the search tab. So it is.
Great. Okay, so two final ones, and thank you for bearing with us, Sinead.
No problem.
Can there be a shared task, i.e. between multiple people?
There can be a shared task between realistically one other person. You can share with multiple, but then what happens is whoever gets it first gets it and takes it. So really, it only works. It's not great for sharing a workload, but it can work between you and one other person. Yes.
Great. And there was a final question around whether the same shortcuts worked for Apple for people who are using Mac.
And they do. They just, most of them are just substituted with the Apple key. So the command key instead of control.
I'm looking at that now. I promise that wasn't my question. Great, Sinead, thank you very much. And thank you very much for all those questions from people. We will share the customization is the part that a lot of the questions were around, but Sinead will share a tutorial on that. The video and slides will be available later on. And so today was just a short glimpse of what eBridge and Sinead cover in their full program of practical productivity using MS Outlook. And if you'd like more details on that, please contact Maeve at the ICBE. As I said, the video and slides will be shared on the ICBE website later on. And finally, to everyone who attended and to Sinead, thank you very much and look forward to seeing you on the next ICBE lunchtime webinars. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sinead.
Thanks, Owen.